In this video, we're going to talk about how to design your executive coaching package. If you're just finishing your coaching qualification, becoming an executive coach, or if you're still doing your free coaching, or perhaps maybe you have been executive coaching for a while, but you want to build a scalable online coaching business, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to talk about how to design your executive coaching package, making sure that you're building strong foundations for a scalable business locally or internationally, wherever, how big you want to go. Today, we're going to focus on specifically one-to-one packages. Obviously, as an executive coach, it can be multifaceted because obviously you have the B2B side and you have the B2C side where you can go directly to the executive. If you don't know me, my name is Stephanie Fitani. I help coaches build online businesses. I have helped coaches build businesses since 2014. And that includes very strong business foundations that help people scale. And of course, plenty of marketing tips to get them in front of the right eyeballs so that your business can grow as effortlessly as possible. So let's dive into today's content. You've probably heard this a million times, and you're going to hear it from me as well. You need to be quite honed in on your ideal client. So you need to be pretty clear about who the package is going to be for. You're going to find out why. I'm going to give you the steps in just a minute. Even if you're not sure about who the packages are for yet, this video can still be useful because I'm going to give you all the steps, including how to source the information. But the main and most important thing before defining the package is knowing your ideal client persona or ideal client avatar. If you find it frustrating because you don't really want to niche down and you have never built a customer journey before, that's perfectly fine. I have plenty of content on my website for that. And if you want to get in touch, there's a discovery call button underneath. That's something I help people with because some people are stuck in the niching part, and that can be very frustrating. If you're not stuck there and you want to define a package, that's what this video is for. So let's move right forward. So the first thing you want to do is, first of all, know who it is for. If you're an executive coach, you can start pretty vaguely in the sense that you know that you're going to be working with executives, with managers, possibly with ambitious leaders. So you do know more or less who you're going to be working with. Try to narrow it down as much as possible to a phase or to particular struggles that they're dealing with based on your strengths. If you can also align it with your life experience, you have a winner there because it's going to be much easier to sell and much easier to help your clients. The first thing you got to do in order to start the process of designing your package is list down the struggles that you deal with. Now, this can be a little bit hard for some people, especially if you're in the process of working with people for free to get your qualification. This can be difficult. Here's a little tip. If you are doing free coaching or offering coaching for a low price because you need experience, you want to go in and you want to make sure that at least the free coaching that you're offering is offered to people who are similar to the people you want to work with. It is difficult in the beginning. A lot of people end up coaching fellow coaches, and that's perfectly fine. When you're an executive coach, it's important to get out of that bubble and start working with people who are executives or founders. It's possibly going to be easier to look at startups, put in the effort. And if you want to work, for instance, with first-time CEOs or with seasoned CEOs or with retired CEOs, make sure that you are spending time with the right people. Without that, you won't know if you're going to enjoy working with them, and you will not be able to understand the kind of people you want to work with. This will slow down the success of your business. Because if you want to work with the target audience you haven't worked with or that you don't understand, you are going to have issues in the future. The first thing is to make sure that you're aligning yourself with the right kinds of people. And then it comes the struggles. Some people find this difficult. You can flip it on its head and go to step 2 right away, which is listing the outcomes. So if you list the outcomes, which is basically the dreams and goals of your ideal client. So if you can list those, what do they actually want? Then you can flip the coin and create the struggles, which is basically all the obstacles that are stopping them from getting to these dreams and goals. Their perspective is important though. So keep in mind that every coach has to make a compromise, especially when it comes to their audiences. You need to stay in your prospects or ideal client's shoes, which means that if they don't understand how you help them, it's important that you actually say it in their own words so that you are not tempted to educate them when it comes to marketing or selling. I meet a lot of new coaches. I work with new coaches most of the time. Most of my clients are in their first 3 years of business. A few are way ahead of that, but the majority are in the first 3 years. And what tends to happen is that we're really excited about our process and the way we help people. And there are a lot of coaches out there who have quite an innovative approach. They're very proud of it. But unfortunately, what tends to happen is that before they start the coaching, your ideal clients don't really know what they need. This happens to everyone, not just executive coaches, it's life coaches, all kinds of coaches. So very important that you try to stay in their shoes when you are defining both the struggles and the outcomes. Don't be tempted to define things in your own terms. Now, if you have issues with that, one of the things you can do, because some of us find it really hard to take a look at things maybe from a different perspective. One of the things you can do is brainstorm with other coaches. One way to do it is make sure that you are working with people who are within the demographic of the kind of people you'd like to work with. If you are still not experienced enough and these people don't want to give you the time, you can start off with a survey. You can say, I have 15 minutes of your time to interview you, and then I will help you with this and this. Even if you offer support to their team, even if you're coaching their managers. One very important thing to do is to pick their brain if you're stuck, because being in their shoes, seeing things from their perspective is really important. So make sure that when you're defining the struggles and the outcomes, no matter which one you do first, they're interchangeable. It's important that you are still doing it from their shoes. It's fine if you veer away from that. Sometimes it's okay to self-indulge, take notes, but do not include that in your coaching package. The next thing a lot of people ask me, a lot of my clients struggle with, is if they're designing their first executive coaching program, they're like, what is actually the right duration for this coaching package? There is no answer that is correct for everyone. But here's how to decide. The process is a very clear process that you can follow. The first thing you want to do is take a look at your ideal client persona or customer journey. You want to document. This is something I do with all of my clients. It's very important that you document, that you write down a good description of your ideal client and the journey they go through so that they end up working with you. Once you have what we call the customer journey, you will be able to completely understand the whole journey they go through until they're ready to work with you. Think about, okay, when they're ready to work with me, this particular person, if I could help them with every struggle and every issue they have, what would my coaching program look like? You have to be self-disciplined and completely forget limitations. Forget all of these limitations and just sit down and write. If you had to give them absolutely everything they need with all the outcomes they desire, what would this program look like? Sit down and write that. Think of the timing, think of the features, what kind of support, do they have emergency calls, what kind of tools. You may end up brainstorming an outline because you need to be aware of the outline of your program. So go in and make this plan. If it's going to be a 6-month program, a 12-month program, what happens in the first month? What happens in the onboarding? What happens in the first 3 months? What happens during the whole program? And then your program is going to cover the whole journey they might do with you. When you take a look at the persona, you might notice that if they have a particular struggle at a particular leg of the journey, let's talk about burnout, for instance. Let's say you're working with founders who are facing burnout. There might be a time when they're just feeling the symptoms, and there is a time when they've actually hit burnout. So that is the journey they go through. Once they've hit burnout, they need your most intensive signature program. If they're earlier in the journey, they may just need something that is part of your signature program. After you have built this signature program that has everything that you can offer, you can break it down into smaller programs. Very often, your big program has 2 or 3 smaller programs in it, and potentially there are 2 or 3 smaller programs that can lead on from each other. With this process, you end up creating your signature program, but then you're also creating smaller packages. And when you're talking to someone on a discovery call, it's easy for you to understand where they slot in. Sometimes people do need the whole signature program, but it's a lot of time and money commitment. And therefore, they may want to start with the first part. And then once they're happy, the relationship is established, you can sell them on to the second part of the program. Starting with the signature program is going to give you a very good idea of the whole journey you could take them through. And then it's going to make it so much easier to break it down into packages. You are going to be very tempted to keep creating more and more packages. What I suggest is that you do not have more than 2 or maximum 3 packages. The main reason is you don't want to overwhelm your clients with choice. When you're on a discovery call, spend time discovering the other person, really discovering where they are on the customer journey, and then making them one offer, one proposal. So you tell them, this is the package for you, and this is how it works. If they're not sure that is the package for them, then you can show other options. But always go in with your main recommendation, because as a coach, you have to be the one guiding. Very often people seek coaching because they don't have enough clarity. So that is extremely important. Okay, to recap, make sure that the process is clear. First, get clear about the ideal client. Make sure that you build the customer journey so you know what they're going through in order to want to work with you. Then you build your signature program. And if you have never built one, I have a video about that. So I can link some resources under this video. If you want to build it with me, you can book a discovery call. Link is under the video. But okay, so first step, ideal clients, customer journey, then build the big signature program. So this signature program needs to include timescales, pricing, stages, all the coaching tools, all the support you're going to give, everything spread out in the biggest ideal program that you could possibly offer your clients. Then you want to break it down into logical steps that people would come in from and possibly then go into the other packages. Sometimes they can also be standalone packages. For instance, there might be the work-life balance package and there might be the burnout package. You might also wrap them in different wrapping. The burnout prevention one might also be the same package that helps founders get a second round of funding, because of course, a founder that is heading to burnout is not going to attract funding, and probably they're not even going to know why. Think of all these little things, and then you want to have all the features. You want to have a list of all the features that you're going to put in there. So define the outline, and then of course, come to the pricing. And the pricing can be a little bit tricky. So what I find with my clients is that very often they know exactly what they should be charging. They know they cannot charge those prices from the beginning. And in the beginning, you don't have the confidence or the portfolio or the testimonials. So you can start off by selling packages at your first entry price. And then once you've booked those, you say, okay, once I've booked my first 5 packages, 10 packages of this price, I'm going to go to the next level. And it can be a very easy way of validating your prices and also building your confidence step by step. Because to sell on your discovery calls, you need to have confidence in your pricing and your skills. That's all I had for you today. If you like this video, make sure that you subscribe. If you want to create your first coaching packages, feel free to get in touch, book a discovery call, and we can talk. I can help you find out what the next step might be. Could be working with me, could be working with someone else. That's perfectly fine. Thank you for following today's video, and I will see you in the next video.